In this video, we're going to learn how to solve simple genetics problems using Punnett squares. You'll learn how to predict the genotypes and phenotypes of offspring based on the genetics of the parents. This lesson focuses on dominant and recessive traits, so it helps if you already know vocabulary like dominant, recessive, homozygous, heterozygous, genotype, and phenotype. If you need to review those first, check out my genetics vocab video. In a typical genetics problem, you're asked to figure out the probability that offspring will have certain genotypes or phenotypes. Let's walk through a classic example. In pea plants, tall is dominant to short. Cross a heterozygous tall pea plant with a homozygous short plant. What are the expected genotype and phenotype ratios of the offspring? Let's solve it step by step together. Step 1. Read the problem carefully. As you are reading, look for key terms and phrases. In this case, we see that tall is dominant, and that one parent is heterozygous, and the other is homozygous short. You may want to underline or highlight these key ideas as you go. Step 2. Make a key. Remember, in genetics problems, we use letters to represent alleles. A key tells us what each letter represents so we don't forget. Since tall is the dominant trait, we use capital T for tall. That means short, the recessive trait, gets a lowercase t. Step 3. Write down parent genotypes. This problem says that one parent is heterozygous, big T little t, and the other parent is homozygous recessive, little t little t. We write this as big T little t crossed with little t little t. The X sign means that I am crossing or breeding these parent plants with each other. Step 4. Do a Punnett square. Draw a 4-box Punnett square. This is a tool to help us predict the chances of getting particular genotypes and phenotypes in our offspring. After drawing the box, put one parent's alleles on the side and the other parent's alleles on the top. Fill in the Punnett square by dragging the letters on the left side across and dropping the letters from the top down. For each box, one letter from the left and one letter from the top will meet. These two letters represent a possible genotype of a potential offspring. It's important to drag and drop to fill in each box. Step 5. Analyze the results. Now let's figure out the genotype and phenotype ratios. For the genotype ratio, there are 2 big T little t for every 2 little t genotypes. This can be written as follows: 2 big T little t to 2 little t little t. But it's better simplified to 1 big T little t to 1 little t little t. This means that for every 1 big T little t, I would expect 1 little t little t. In other words, there's a 50% chance that an offspring would be big T little t, and a 50% chance that an offspring would be little t little t. Now let's do the phenotype ratio. Since tall is dominant, there are 2 tall offspring for every 2 short offspring. So the phenotype ratio is 2 tall to 2 short. Again, this can be simplified to a 1-to-1 ratio, 1 tall to 1 short. This is the same as saying that there's a 50% chance that an offspring will be tall, and a 50% chance that an offspring will be short. You could also say that you'd expect about half of the offspring to be tall, and half to be short. But just because there's a 50% chance of getting a tall plant, doesn't mean you'll always get half tall and half short. Probability is a prediction, not a guarantee. It tells us what's likely to happen across many offspring, not necessarily what will happen for sure in a small group. It's a lot like a coin toss. Over time, we expect a 50-50 split, but we might not get exactly half heads and half tails, especially if we only toss the coin a few times. Let's do a bonus example. Keep in mind that the ratios or percentages that you will get will be different if you have different parents. Let's cross 2 heterozygous tall plants, big T little t crossed with big T little t. Notice that we would get a 1-to-2-to-1 genotype ratio. 1 big T to 2 big T little t to 1 little t little t. And a phenotype ratio of 3 tall to 1 short. Since we expect 3 out of 4 offspring to be tall, there is a 75% chance of getting tall offspring and a 25% chance of getting short offspring. Let's recap. To solve any simple genetics problems using a Punnett square, follow these 5 steps. 1. Read the problem carefully. 2. Make a key. 3. write the parent genotypes. 4. Do a Punnett square. 5. Analyze the results. Remember, the process is the same whether you're asked for ratios, percentages, or probabilities. That's it. Now you know how to solve basic genetic problems using Punnett squares.